Sit back, relax, and keep your eyes to the skies.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to S4, where we talk about the serious issues involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live from the S4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains here in the studio in Cape Horn, Concrete, Washington. So tonight, it is March 28th. It's going to be a recap of last night's investigation at the Hub here in Concrete, Washington, the oldest bar and social business in the concrete community stemming back to the late 1800s. Been burned down once and rebuilt as the whole town was in the early 1900s. We were joined in this investigation by the crew of the Northwest Paranormal Research Group, NWPRG, a phenomenal team who I can honestly say, after watching them in action, do investigations the right way. And that's a hard one to say because you don't find that too often. So they are here on the show with us tonight. Jay, the lead. We have B and Carrie, the sensitive, who was also spot on last night. We have Ashley Nord, who is the manager of the Hub. And, of course, our normal crew. So, how are we all feeling?
Oh, well, we're doing good. Well, I'm doing good.
Real good.
I gotta stop and give a real quick shout out. Ashley's with us, but Tori was also with us last night, so we gotta give a shout out to Tori.
Yeah, Naomi was our bartender. She did an excellent job. Made coffee for you. Kept me going and Diet Pepsi.
Yeah, I had a whole pot of coffee out of myself all night long. But yeah.
Awesome.
So for those that want to watch the videos are actually posted in the Forest Moon Paranormal group. So if you're not in the group, look for Forest Moon Paranormal group, not the page, the group on Facebook.
And for anyone listening who works for Facebook, you suck.
Yeah, you do.
I hate them. I don't like you.
I concur. So I know
that motion.
I know, Carrie, you can only stay for an hour, so I want to focus most of our questions on you for the first hour tonight. So how long have you been, and I know you hate being called a medium or sensitive, but how long have you been communicating, or when did you first find you could communicate with spirits?
It actually kind of started in my dreams when I was early, kind of knew things that were coming that I didn't understand, how I came across that information. And then I was had a neighbor friend who she considered herself a ghost hunter when I was a young kid, and she showed me some books, and she shared some pictures, and I was intrigued. And then as my life path went on, probably around 2005-ish or sooner, was when the door opened up and able to talk to the other side and this side.
Right on.
Excellent.
Have you ever had?
And I wanted to let you know that you can call me whatever you want. I don't have I don't have any space in my heart for any hate.
You don't want to leave that
I hate being
like
called. So I'm still okay with it. Just remember, it can come back the other way.
Right. So
and come right back. It come right back to you. So I wanted you to know that I don't have a problem. You can call me whatever you like. I kind of go by messenger, healer, spiritual guide,
okay.
or anything you want. It's all okay with me. Okay.
Right. And I do think any paranormal team, because in the paranormal field you find so much conflict, I guess, between what's right and what's wrong in an investigation. You got the ones that we're all about science, well, they're really not. They're about toys. But with that, we don't believe psychics are really a valid tool in the paranormal. I completely disagree. I think using technology and psychics, as long as they're vetted, is a perfect balance. And you know, I'm all about vetting. You definitely vetted yourself last night. You were spot on with everything you did, and that's and that last night to me was a perfect investigation because you vetted the spirits. We had the historian there who was Ashley, basically, because I mean she knows the history of the hub, she knows the history of the town. So when it came to the spirit names that came through, we could vet who they were. And then you've got the technology side, which we had an orb, which I'm really not a fan of orbs normally because most of the time they can be proven to be dust particles, they can be proven to be lens flare, they can be, reflections, insects. Last night's orb was moving with you. It was not a reflection. It was not. I tried to debunk it the damnedest I could. No, I couldn't.
Well, I'll tell you, all the ones I got in the basement,
they were
off my video.
No,
if they were orbs, there are 4 million ghosts
right?
in that basement.
No, I completely agree. Those. This one was a solid color. This one was actually moving in communication with Carrie. So, excellent. Jay, as soon as you can get me that video, I would love to get that one posted up.
Yeah,
no problem.
Did anybody see it visibly also?
Huh?
Did anybody see it visually?
I didn't even think to look. I really didn't.
Really?
I was too enthralled watching the damn thing on the camera, going, okay, Carrie's not wearing a watch. It's definitely not moving with the phone. It's I was looking around. I was looking for something that could. No, hell no, I couldn't debunk that one.
That's excellent. Excellent.
Where was it at? Where was it at?
That was in the basement when Carrie first went down to the basement, and we got the name Peter, and he lived on a ranch, and yeah, I mean, I have I'm not going to say the name on the air tonight because I haven't proven that individual was actually in the family. I think he was. So
how about that?
Well, that'd be awesome, and it's great validation for Carrie too.
I didn't get a chance. I didn't get a chance to see the orb. I was too busy
Hello there.
talking. But
And she's back.
hi.
I'm back.
She got dropped. But okay,
Yeah, somehow the call got dropped.
Go ahead, Carrie. You couldn't.
No, I was just saying that nobody said anything about seeing an orb there during that time. I was kind of too busy connecting with what was going on. So this is kind of new for me. I'm really glad to hear that we captured something that good. I didn't know it till right now.
Right.
Excellent.
So Ashley was trying to get my attention because she's actually one that was holding the phone, and she was trying to get my attention, going, "Dude, there's an orb right here. It's moving with Carrie." And it was right in front. So it was actually right in front of you.
We were talking.
Right.
It actually came in a couple of times, and it appeared to be right at your hip or right close to his hip.
Right.
And it seemed to move with him, and it didn't matter which way I moved the phone. It seemed to be very solid and very consistent and followed his movements. It was right by him or right in front of him most of the time.
Right, and like I said, it was a solid colored orb. It was, and that's usually what you look for. It was not dust. We could see the dust moving around this orb. It wasn't lens flare. It wasn't moving with the camera. It was moving with Carrie as he's talking to it.
Yes.
But he couldn't see the orb. He was talking to a spirit, which I do think that orb was the spirit he was talking to. And at that point in time, it was, I know the name that came to you was Peter, or Pete.
It was Pete.
Yeah. And you described a ranch with prize-winning bulls, which up here, the biggest ranch I can think of, like I said, is a very common one. I'm not going to say the name, and like I said, until I can verify whether there was a Pete in that family. Because I'm not sure if there was or not. If there wasn't, that doesn't mean anything. It just means there was another ranch up here. Which is very probable because we do have farms all over upriver.
Yes,
how
we do.
long has the hub been in business?
The hub was after the third time that Main Street had burned down, and they reconstructed everything out of cement. The hub was established officially for the last time in 1923.
Wow.
But before that, it was wasn't it late 1800s? But it was called the Club Hub.
Yeah, it had been. Well, it was also the Club Hub in 1923 when everything had been reestablished.
Okay.
It's also the longest standing establishment on Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's excellent. That's excellent.
And it's interesting because one of the spirits that connected with Carrie, and Carrie, you could probably tell us a little more about that, and I don't remember if it was Pete or if it was a different one, but was describing a woman from the brothel.
Yeah. Yes. We did connect with her as well. She was definitely. She was the one who was wearing like the pantaloons or whatever. We discussed that. Remember the white fluffy type.
The fluffy pants and shirt type thing.
I believe that she was. Gosh, so much happened. It seemed like that was either the guy's mistress or the gal who was working there. It seemed like it was the gal that was working there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he captured that.
Last night.
Yeah, I think if you have it on film, we'd be able to look at it and kind of refresh our memory because there was a lot happened last night. A lot happened.
It did.
The censors were they were talking with Ashley a couple of times. It was pretty. That would be a difficult one to kind of debunk. It was very unusual. Then it started communicating to her. She was communicating with it first. She knew it was there, and then it really kind of got active out of her for a while. So that was interesting.
Yeah, it was intense to say the least.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
You were saying sensor. What kind of sensors were you using?
Jay?
EMF.
We also had proximity sensors.
It's like I would say it's a REM pod, mini REM pod.
Oh, cool. Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had mini REM pods all across the entire bar.
Wow.
I was trying to make.
And we also had them.
Yeah.
We also had them downstairs in the basement, and there was a couple of times during the investigation while we were upstairs that my coworker and I actually heard the one in the basement going off.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And all of us were accounted for on the bar floor upstairs.
I think I heard that go off too. It's just very faint. I wasn't too sure if that's what it was.
Mm-hmm. Now, Carrie, you also made contact with the what you described as a interdimensional entity, correct?
Absolutely. The interdimensional being is the one that was in my what I sensed was the one that was talking to Ashley when she. Right. So what was going on was I was just going by what I was directed to do, what I was sensing. So I started kind of cleansing the back space of the bar, and got down with about a third of it, and was just cleansing the area out of darkness and bringing light in. And immediately Ashley stood up and just come walking over to me saying, "There's that energy is getting very active downstairs." It did not like the light energy that was coming through the bar. And then shortly thereafter is when that sensor went off, and she was standing next to it, and I was standing next to her, and it kept going off for, it was over a minute, possibly two. Maybe somebody can help me with that, but and then it stopped for a little while, and we went about our way, but she sensed it again, I believe, and that thing went off, and it was actually almost, if I knew Morse code, it was acting very unusual, even for a sensor.
Yeah,
and that was
it
the
did.
interdimensional
It sounded almost
being.
like Morse code.
Yes, and so we stopped.
I believe Cole caught it on video. Part of it.
Yeah.
I hope so. It was a pretty amazing experience, and it was what I was gathering. It was definitely chewing on her. It did not. They were having it out, kind of, to say the least, and it went on for quite a while. And it did not like what was going on, and it spoke about it. It was pretty, in my opinion, it was clear. I was sensing it and talking with it, and it knew that we were communicating. And then it went to Ashley, and she definitely had words with it.
Yeah, because when you were, pardon the interference with my animals, they're going to be barking because they're paranoid little critters.
Give them a microphone.
But when Carrie was at the back of the bar doing his cleansing, and it just all of a sudden it felt like I had cotton in my ears and earmuffs on inside of a fishbowl, but it sounded like absolute chaos, almost like the bar was completely full of people, but I couldn't quite hear what they were saying, but the energy was definitely isolated coming from the basement, and I just had this overwhelming need to let him know something is going on down there. And shortly thereafter, probably within a few seconds or so, that REM pod actually started activating and going off.
Yeah.
So, Ashley, you're saying that it was oh, well, you're saying that it's more like a muffled conversation that you're hearing.
It was more like a series of it just sounded like chaos. There was so many voices all at the same time. And you couldn't discern any of them from the next or the next.
Right.
It did seem rather agitated, but it was originating from the basement.
Right.
And so, Ashley, what was happening was that you were picking it up with your abilities, your gifts. You knew that it was doing what it was doing, and you were absolutely right. It was telling you how it did not like the cleansing that was going on, and that's why you came over to talk to me, is because it wanted me to stop. And I think I told you that, and then that's when it started communicating with the. And right after that, I stopped. And it was because it was talking to you, and then it talked to you actually right on that electronic unit.
The REM pod. Yeah.
The REM pod, exactly.
We're live.
It was a lot of stuff going on.
It did so a couple of times.
Yeah, and
well,
it was all.
I was going to just say that REM pod only has a radius around the antenna about maybe 5 inches, 3 to 5 inches. I mean, you really got to get close to it. So.
Yeah, and we were all well within. We were beyond a 4-foot marker away from that particular REM pod. None of us got within, that 5 or 6 inch barrier of it. We were all well back from it.
Right.
Oh yeah, 4 or 5 feet easy.
Yeah.
Easily.
Video, if you see the video when people pass by, they have to be really close to actually set it off. So. We passed by that thing many a times, and it didn't go off. This thing was just hot. It was hot, and I was amazed. I'd never seen it go off. Actually, I have in another place, but that was amazing. That was kind of freaky.
It was it was there for the initial. I would say the initial contact. It was pretty well consistent, and I will confirm with Carrie that it was a solid minute at least that it had something to say, that REM pod was actually active and alerting to us.
But that was only one time, because it happened 3 different times.
It did, but that was the initial. Was the initial contact it made with us.
Okay.
Was it answering questions directly via the REM pod?
Hey,
it seemed like it was, because every time I asked it for its name or asked it what it was, it went silent. The REM pod stopped.
That's when it stopped talking. It could it did that twice, because you asked it 2 different times what its name was and what it was. And that's it. At that point in time, the REM pod went silent and it just left. Well, it didn't leave, but it stopped.
It just absolutely shut down.
It stopped communicating.
Especially if you're doing a light cleansing and at the same time, it's not going to give you that information because you can use it against it.
Well,
so,
anyway, we know it was coming from. So if you look in the video, I believe it's video number 7. You can actually we show in the video the crawl space, which actually goes underneath the entire city. So it actually goes under all the stores, and that's where this being came from.
Yeah, for all our listeners, those videos are on Porous Moon Paranormal Group on Facebook.
Yeah, we have.
So it has the ability to run back and forth throughout it has an escape route. It can go at whatever it wants, and come up anywhere it is.
Well,
and I mean,
go ahead.
I'm always in and out of that. I'm always in and out of that basement. There's always been the basement itself isn't alarming or eerie or creepy. It's just a basic run-of-the-mill type of basement. But that opening in that foundation that enters into that crawl space, there's always been an uneasy feeling for anyone who's ever gone down there, because when you all experienced last night, when you come down those stairs and come in, turn into the basement, that's the first thing you actually really see is that opening into the crawl space.
Wow.
You know what I should have done?
What?
I should have sent in my RC tank, my remote control tank that has GoPros and stuff in there. Yeah.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah, but I don't know if it would have made it through.
Yeah.
It was pretty. It was a lot of uneven terrain with a lot of wood in the way.
For the crawl space?
Yeah, there's wood and pipes and all kinds of stuff down in there, yeah.
And it wouldn't be worth it to lose that.
No.
You said it was an interdimensional being. Were you able to tell what kind of being it was?
You're asking me, Carrie?
Yes, Carrie. Yes, please.
So here's what I would say. What I call an interdimensional being, and what it was doing there is, what I gathered from it was that those energies, they feed off of the humans' fear, and when they're in lost mode, and they suck the energy out of people. And that particular one has been, it goes to multiple locations. The fact that that Ashley was hearing all those voices is because that energy is, in my opinion, collecting energy from all of those. She's hearing voices and from multiple locations. That's just been my experience over the years. And so those interdimensional beings can be sent away or gotten rid of. We didn't do that last night, but she was absolutely right that there was havoc going on. She was gathering what was being the noises and the voices, and that was because that energy was carrying that energy with it. And when she came over to tell me that there was something going on, it wanted her to tell me to stop, and I gathered that right away. So I stopped right away, and then we thought, well, you could probably kind of try to capture something, and boy, did it captured something.
Wow, that's awesome. It sounds like what we call an energy vampire. They seem to be able to, I don't know if it was ever human or not. I'm assuming that you didn't feel that it was ever human, but we have had, we've seen those kind of things running around, and they seem to be underground most of the time, and they love tunnel areas, or where there is a place where they can be and suck energy from all different sources. So I find that really interesting. That's cool, awesome.
Now I guess
they're go ahead.
Well, my curiosity would be an interdimensional being of that variety. Would it feed off spirit energy as well as human energy?
What I found is, so having worked with many families, houses, people, kids, that when you go in, my experience, when I go into the place and read it and gather what's going on, A lot of times I can tell that they're either a human or, a lingering energy from a human or whatever's that may be. And then what I call interdimensional beings. People use other words for those what I call interdimensional beings. They call them, demons. They call them things like that. So when we go in and deal with those to help people rid those kind of energies, we can identify if they're interdimensional or if they're humans. This might sound weird to people, but the humans sometimes will be there, and if they're a dark energy, what I call a dark energy, they will actually help gather that when people are sleeping and their fears and their dreams, when they're maybe brokenhearted, when they're having problems in life, they really feed on them. And so in my experience, I've seen some kids who are really struggling, couldn't sleep, and then what happens is the family starts kind of gathering around them and trying to help them. They don't know what to do, and then it starts sucking the energy out of them. And pretty soon the family's not sleeping, and it does that. So when we go in there and we identify what I call an interdimensional being, we don't let them stay. They're gone. We send them away, and we do it with light and love. We don't battle with it at all. There is no battle at all. It's just it leaves, and that's that. And then sometimes they're just the humans, and sometimes they're just there because it might be somebody's grandma or a friend or having a visit, and the people still don't understand what's happening. And sometimes it's an energy that's just been there because they lived in the house before, or they're just moving around. So that I would describe interdimensional definitely different than human energy.
Right.
Well said, Kerry. I like that. That was spot on in what we've seen in our investigations and so forth. And
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, excellent.
And I don't think it's the case in this one, but what you will find in the longer you investigate is you'll find some malevolent entities such as this actually trap the innocent human spirits, and and that's why I ask is did he feel this was using the energy of spirits along with the humans? Because some of them do. Maybe not this one. I don't think this one was trapping the spirits in the hub. As we saw, last night, the spirits were still moving even with this being there. But oftentimes you'll go into a highly paranormal case. You'll remove the malevolent entity, and then the spirits freely go to the light because they're not trapped anymore.
Correct. We kind of call that, in what we deal with it when we have those, we call those soul collectors.
Right.
And they seem to latch on, and they control everything around them. And you can even ask if things get real silent, that there's one near because he's got them all huddled next to him and he's not letting them talk or do anything. And then compared to the type that Kerry's describing, they will suck energy from souls or from any human being and make their life miserable. Heck.
No, absolutely.
It makes me wonder. So I know, Ashley, you and your other bartenders last night were saying you've seen a change of personality in some of the clientele that come into the hub, especially of late. And I wonder if this particular entity is causing that.
It would be hard to say. What I can say is that in the last 2 weeks, we've had 3 or 4 customers that do hang out together very regularly, and they are good friends. All of them are gentlemen between the ages of 60 and 75. With that being said, they all play pool and darts together, and they always have a really good time. And in the last 2 weeks in particular, it just seems that they come in a great mood, and then there's some type of almost a personality change. And over even just the smallest stuff, they get really agitated with each other. and they set into, bickering over a dart game or a pool game to full-on screaming at each other until one of them finally concedes and just tabs out and leaves.
and that's something.
So
new.
Ashley, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, what I was going to say, Ashley, is that so last night when we were identifying all of what you just talked about, that energy being there, and it didn't like the light being put in there, and that was why. I'll say this, that at this particular time, that energy that was down in the crawl space specifically, the one that was talking to you on the pod, we have put it into a position where it can't affect the people in there. I just have to be careful because if I go in, or if we go in and we clear an area out, then the paranormal research gets kind of lost, and then BB and Jay beat me up and leave me in the street. And so what happened last night was that energy has we put it so it can't come into the bar area. And I think that if we're allowed to alter the path of that energy from coming in and affecting people, I think you might see a change there in the next, soon. The people will be coming in. I don't think you're going to see that kind of.
It was this afternoon because I came in. And when I got there, Eldon was already there, and Jay was tearing everything down. Walking into the bar, it did seem like it felt quieter, if that makes any sense.
It's because that energy is. It was the line was drawn under the street, out to the sidewalk area. It can't come into that area. We put energy in there that will detour it from coming there. It should alter that kind of behavior in the bar. I think that you might see a change, depending upon if I don't get in trouble by letting it in or not.
Oh, good job!
Right.
No. Excellent job. I'd like to hear results in the next week of clientele attitude change.
I would be happy to report it.
Excellent.
Then I would like.
And now we're going to get phone calls from the theater and all the other stores because they're going to have all kinds of violent action. God damn it! You let
Well,
it
I
in
mean,
our
I
house
could
now.
say something, but on a professional level, I'll just bite my tongue. But I think Eric knows
so
where I'm
why?
going with that.
Do we all have to be professional?
No,
So
we don't. Kingpin of concrete. Yeah.
So Ashley and team, and Jay and Beeb and everybody, is it okay if we leave that blockage up so that
Absolutely.
we can tone that energy down? We have permission to do that.
Absolutely.
Okay, then we're going to. Then you should, with that being allowed, and you guys letting us do that, we will block that energy from being there, and you should see some change very soon.
Well, and actually, when it comes to when it comes to paranormal research, that actually validates what you did too. It really does, because when you have a comparison between before it happened and the client attitudes and after, and all of a sudden everything's peaceful and quiet, that actually is significant.
Yeah, well, and we had kind of a slower day today, and the gentleman that we were specifically talking about last night, two of them were in this afternoon, but they were in at different times. One of them in particular seemed a lot more chill and relaxed. The other one could have been because I was, I was bored at work for a little bit and was playing him darts. And, well, I was kicking his butt. We'll just say that. But he was still in good spirits, but you could kind of almost tell that he was still slightly agitated, and that's abnormal for him in general, just in his character and in his nature.
Okay.
So I mean, it might need a little bit of tweaking.
Ashley, that's because
it could also
that's
be
because
residual.
of what he has going. on. No, he has something else going on.
Right.
Just so you know. The man that you're talking about, I feel like there's some other things that are going on that he hasn't talked about to others yet, okay? And that might be part of it. That's just what I'm getting. So keep an eye on it. We're going to make sure that you got a good block. I'd love to hear that things have improved, even 10% or 20 or whatever, okay?
Well, yeah, even just in the minuscule amount, and energy like that, and for a lack of a better term, as mouthy as it got last night, you know, ideally
literally,
in an establishment, literally, it was super mouthy. In an establishment such as ours, you know, you don't want agitated attitudes or energies, and booze does weird things to people already, and then if you add in, you know, an outside energy factor that's potentially manipulating those energies, it could exacerbate a situation that would otherwise really be nothing at all into something that could be potentially catastrophic.
And I fully
so
agree.
We're going to continue to make sure that energy does not allow it to come back in, and we're going to try to send and continue. We're not going to try. We will send in energy that is more calming, more soothing, a better energy flow to try to help you with that. Okay, we'll be doing that from here on out throughout the day tomorrow and et cetera.
Absolutely,
okay?
Absolutely, and
we'll use our intentions and our energy to make that manifest.
Yeah, and like I said, I have an access of rose incense and things like that. If you believe it would help, I could go down and set those up there at that entranceway to the crawl space if it potentially wouldn't, you know, exacerbate the situation.
If it's something you want to do, feel free to. It's not something that's needed at this time. Right now, the energy I sense is clear. It's not there. It knows it can't come back, and I guess we'll just hear what you have to say as the days go by.
Yep.
And I'd be so happy to report back and let you guys know, because like I said, you know, and Carrie and I had discussed this last night to some degree. I do have some sensitivity, I'll say. Most of the time I just keep it shut off, because if I don't, it's loud and chaotic. And I'm already a super anxious individual. I don't really need all of that up in my business.
Ashley, next chance we get together, Ashley, we're going to work on that a little bit more. We did some last night, though, and you did really well. You did really good.
Yeah,
but there's a little more tweaks.
I would actually be super pleased to report that, and I don't know what it seems to be in the last 2 weeks, but I don't generally sleep well at night at all. Last night I actually got a solid 6 hours of sleep, which is the first time in a very, very long time.
Oh, you
must
suck
be nice.
so much.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it was awesome, but it sucked because I woke up feeling more tired than I normally do. But I also felt like I had actually slept.
Oh, and that's what Barry calls paranormal hangover.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I know Jay's probably definitely got, because he sat in the van all night.
Is my body still at the hub?
What?
Is my body still at the hub? Because I feel like I'm not here.
Well, it's because part of you got left over there with the tape on the floor.
I'm sitting down in the basement doing pull tabs, ain't I?
Right?
Yes.
That's you. Yep.
I do have a question. Were you guys able, I know there is a ton and hours of footage, but I want to touch, were you guys able to go back and watch through the video of the mass that followed Eric in off of the back porch?
We could probably find that.
Oh, that was on the back porch. Okay, I was sitting here trying to figure out what the hell you were talking about because I didn't come to the front door.
Well,
I thought you were talking about the front door.
No. No, you were on the back. You guys had all gone out on the back porch to have a cigarette, and Tori and I got the honor and the privilege of actually getting to sit in the van and watch the monitors so that Jay could go have a cigarette. And when you guys came back in, Eric was the last one to come in, and you guys had that camera pointed down to the stairwell that goes into the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And when Eric crossed the field of that camera, the camera glitched and it went all black and white. And then when he came out of frame of the camera, there was a large, dark, if not black, mass kind of thing that immediately was right behind you and followed you into the bar. And then about 3 seconds later, the camera went back to normal spectrum.
Huh. No, I'd like to see that footage, but so.
Yeah.
That energy was just following Eric. It was roaming around, and when it latched onto his energy and followed Eric in.
Mm-hmm.
So do we think that's the same one that was in the crawl space?
No.
No, that came from
That's
outside.
that's my interpretation. This was a different one that I sensed it when he came in from outside. It was a different one. That crawl space one is to me, is very clear. It's that one, when you connect with that energy, you know that's that energy. The one that followed him in was didn't have the same kick, I'll say that.
Right.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it wanted to connect, but it was really interesting sitting and watching the monitors and getting to see something like that, because our cameras at the bar do that from time to time. They'll kick in and out of color, or they'll glitch out, or they'll pause, or just shut down for a few seconds at a time. But to get to see that in live feed, that was really something very cool. Very cool.
I did get the audio recorder I had on top of the guitar into the analyzer on the computer, and the guitar never got touched.
No.
None of them like that thing, so.
Well, damn it.
Well, but
I tried to get him to call. I tried,
There's a
buddy.
possibility, too.
Well, explain to the listeners what you did.
So, I borrowed my son's kid's guitar. It is a small, cheap first act guitar.
Maybe that's why it was a kid's guitar. They were mad because it was a kid's guitar.
So hold on, I'm going to explain that. So I tightened all the strings as high as I could without actually snapping them.
Right.
And the reason being is because there have been reports of certain groups going out when they do an investigation, doing the same thing, and the spirit would actually try and tune the guitar. So I set a recorder on top of that, and I put it through the my analytics music maker, and I was looking for any high jumps in tone, and I never got anything. But it is a possibility that because it was a first act guitar,
right,
there are people out there, if they are guitar players, that wouldn't touch that thing with a 10-foot pole.
Okay.
It's a toy to them. It's not.
They were offended.
Yeah, it's a toy. It's not an actual guitar.
Right.
So it's a possibility that could have been the problem. But you never know.
But
it might have just been none of them were guitar players. None of them wanted to interact with it. That happens.
Did any of the spirits shoot pool?
So when I came in this morning, we did not see none of the, because we had moved them around just a little bit before we closed out last night. It didn't appear that there was any type of movement with the pool balls or even the pool cue that we had left on the table.
Okay.
No. But there was activity on that pool table that night with one of the statues. Carrie was actually communicating with somebody that was there. We laid out a few bills on the table, and made an offer if they could move it, move a pool ball or something, they could have those shows. But they kind of shied away. So.
Yeah, I was kind of so. Also, for our listeners, Ashley actually set up the cue balls for a pool game, and with the hopes of a spirit would try to play pool, and well, it didn't work.
I still have to go through a lot of the video that I collected for the one that Tori mentioned. Was as she closes down the bar, she will see a figure in the window.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, and I kept going over to the end of the bar and facing the camera out that window for a while and seeing if we caught anything, but I don't know. I haven't looked at any of it yet. So it took 8 hours to freaking get it on there. So
right. Yeah, Facebook sucks.
Yeah.
It's a pain to get things uploaded. So in relation to other investigations, Carrie, how active were the spirits in this investigation in relation to other cases you've been
on? Because it was an establishment, I usually work with people at their homes or a building or with the people themselves.
Right.
To get to go into an establishment like this was, especially one that had this kind of activity, my answer would be there was quite a variety of energies in there, everything from interdimensional to a lot of humans, and the people who had worked there before, that gentleman that we described had the bulls and the farm and the ranch or whatever, and so comparatively there was a lot more energies to recognize and communicate with and just witness and experience, because usually it's a smaller that I usually work with, smaller group.
Right, and that makes sense. Makes absolute sense. And that's why Cole and I wanted to join with you guys for this investigation, because we usually don't do public locations like this. We're usually the homes and the maybe the small business that's having a problem. We don't do all-out investigations like this. So this was exciting for us. It was the first investigation we've been on this year. So yeah, it was great. It was great working with you guys.
absolutely.
Oh, likewise.
And
we did have another notable experience. I believe it's Jay's mom. I had stepped out on the back porch and I was having a cigarette, and when we had come back in through that back door, she had asked me if I knew a George, or if the name George had meant anything to me, and I had actually asked her, well, which one? Because we have three Georges that were at one point in time were solid regulars there at the bar, that have all now since passed on. And then I asked her if she was talking about Georgia, because he's recently deceased, almost a year ago. And she said specifically, no, it was George, and that he was demanding a drink and demanding that the music be turned up louder. And then after we had specifically gotten into having that conversation, that the mention of Black Velvet and soda pop had been brought up. And that gentleman in question, I did show her a picture of him, because we do have the memoriam wall there for all of our previous patrons that have come and gone and been lost. But she did make, we do believe that she made contact with him. He was excited to be there, and he wanted to drink and party.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and
George came in.
Go ahead.
George came into mind several days before going into this investigation. It was just a name that came, and it wouldn't leave my thoughts. And I said, well, then there's got to be a George. And why George? I mean, it could be Mike, it could be William, it could be, another name, but it was George. And it was always just George, George, George. So when I went there, I had to ask if there was such a George and who was he. I needed to connect with him because I felt that he enjoyed. This is what I just came to light, where he enjoyed going to the hub, and he wanted to actually kind of like come back to life at least for another moment or whatever it is. I mean, it's just George, and it wouldn't go away. That name just didn't go away.
Right.
And so I said, well, then George wants to talk, so we're going to see what we get. So we had 5 EVPs or 6 EVPs going. One was right there, and for the individuals that used to come are now gone. But not really. I don't think they really leave forever. But anyway, so there he was, and I have to say I had to just talk, and hopefully, we'll get him on in our EVPs. I'm sure if he had something to say, he will say it then. But EVPs are it's hours and hours of recording, and we use the magic music. And
Magic Music Maker.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. To hear different vibrations of and to hear it clearly. So it takes some time to do that, and but it's very. If we get something, we will hear it there. But definitely loud and clear.
I didn't get a chance to tell you last night because there was so much going on. But the hotel that you were staying in,
yes.
And I don't know if you noticed it or not, but in that parking lot, there's a gazebo with a wooden statue.
Yep.
Yes.
In the corner there by the little waterfall pond that they have.
Yes.
That is actually the gentleman I believe made contact with you.
Okay.
And he was somewhat of kind of a local legendary figure as a logger and a husband and a father. I actually grew up, I knew the man from the time I was probably 8 years old until he passed away rather suddenly, and it was an unfortunate logging accident. But I do believe that was the gentleman in question that was making contact with you.
Yeah, there was quite a few in there. I know one that for some reason I called it Farmer in the Dale. I don't understand why that would come. But I also remember that I was just standing upstairs. All of a sudden, I'm just standing up there where the bar is, not in the basement where we're all there. It's standing just there. And I'm looking, and all of a sudden, this name comes to me. And this is where I ask you, does anyone know Peter? Why Peter? Right? But this is when I ask, does anyone know Peter? Peter. And that's the name that came to mind. I don't understand why that name came to mind, but I think it has something to do with maybe could be the unknown that wanted me to bring it out and say, hey, I'm here. But I don't see. I mean, that's how I feel, and it's and.
So, Bibi, when we were downstairs, the name that came to me was Pete, about an hour and a half before Peter hit you.
Right.
Yeah, Peter.
And I wonder if that was the same one, or if there was a Pete that you connected with, and the Peter came up later.
Could that also be the
Farmer in
trouble?
the Dell. would actually make kind of a direct correlation, because the Pete that Carrie was talking to in the basement kept making references to his ranch or to his farmland and his prize bull.
Right.
So I wonder if they aren't the same.
Right.
Yeah. I wonder that, could it be that the shadow that followed Eric in, if there was a shadow, we got to look, could that also be Pete moving upstairs?
The shadow that followed Eric in was not the Pete that I connected with. It was a different energy.
Oh, okay.
That's my what I gathered. And I believe that what was happening was BB was hearing the name Peter. It was as being the same Pete. I don't know why it was Peter, but I just know that we were talking about Pete, and then she definitely was very strong about saying who's Peter. So she might have come up with his full name. I'm not sure.
And that was like...
And
go ahead.
Okay.
And I was going to say the energy that... I'm sorry?
The delay sucks. Why would she say, why would she be thinking farmer in the dill? That's a weird question. That's a weird question we got here. Something that we have to have some sort of connection. Pete, farmer in the dill can be. You guys talking about a farmer named Pete downstairs, Peter. Mm-hmm. That's and you're totally two different floors.
Right, and we were also, when we were downstairs recording Carrie having that conversation with Pete, DB wasn't down there with us during that period. When that name came to Carrie, when he basically divulged his name, she was not downstairs at all, and we hadn't discussed that when we had gotten upstairs.
That's right. That's correct.
What happened was I wasn't even thinking of anything. It was like I was just standing there. I was just standing, getting ready, who knows, to take another photo, maybe, I don't know, just standing there. And all of a sudden it was like this name just nagged me. Peter. And I'm saying, who's Peter? Does anybody know who Peter is? Because this name just came out of the blue. How can he just come out of the blue? You know what I'm saying? It was very exciting, actually.
I was gonna say you caught that in your footage, because she was just standing there and she just turned around and said it.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Can I ask a quick question? I was looking at the pictures of downtown Concrete, and I noticed that there's a theater next door. I don't know what the other building is next to it. Carrie, do you believe that because of some of the energy in trying to communicate to the spirits, some of those spirits may be coming from the other buildings next to it? Did you get that feeling?
Are you talking about the theater?
Yeah, the theater or whatever else is on the other side. I wasn't able to see that, but I was just kind of wondering that, because sometimes when you start pulling the spirits or speaking to them, they can come from other directions, and they may be coming in and out of there anyway. So I was just asking your thoughts about that.
Okay, guys, my Bluetooth is, I'm going to switch you over to speaker. Okay. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we're good.
Okay, good. Yeah, my Bluetooth just died, so you guys are on speaker now.
That works.
Okay, to go back to your question.
Bullet!
Barry, we're going to have you ask your question again right after we come back from break.
Carrie's not going to be here.
Oh,
okay,
right,
you got it.
All right, great.
You got it.
But real quick, Carrie, go ahead and answer it, because I know you want to cut out, so we won't have Carrie after break. So go ahead and answer the question real quick.
What I would say is I probably could stay on a little bit longer if it would help, and you guys would like that. But to answer your question, we actually stopped and gathered over at the theater, and there is so much activity in there. I know that I grabbed a man who was he had something to do with the curtains, so he worked there. There's a lady who was there, elderly, who felt like she owned the place, and there was kids' energy in that room as well. For this instance, for this instance, those energies that we were picking up in the bar, those were most of them that were in the bar, and except for the interdimensional, it's in my opinion, can be in multiple locations at the same time. It was definitely there.
Yeah.
It's now been restricted, but the people who are in the theater, they kind of hang there. They have, that's not that they don't move, but I just gathered that they weren't venturing over to the bar. They have their area. They stay there. It seems.
Yeah.
Not that they don't go other places.
Because sometimes theater people like alcohol.
Very true. And on that note, we do have to go to break. So when we come back, we will carry on our conversation about our investigation of the hub.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
All right.
Never return.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
working for me.
Okay. Welcome back to S4 as we are talking about our investigation last night of the hub. It was an awesome investigation.
What are you talking about, Sherry? We are not late, not ever.
What?
Don't even be like
late?
that.
So I do want to interject real quick. So in answer to your question too, Barry, there have been other teams that have gone in and investigated the hub. And it has been found because of the passage underneath all the entire town has that same underground passage. So there have been investigations where they'll go into the theater, they'll see a little girl, they'll see 2 or 3 different spirits, and they'll encounter the same spirits in the hub or in Lone Star, which is the restaurant on the other side of the theater.
On the other side.
So
Okay.
some of them at different times, I guess, do pass through. There's no walls for them, but they do pass.
It kind of
in different
reminds
buildings?
me of Al Capone's tunnels in Chicago,
Right.
to Moose Jaw,
Right.
And it just because those are supposed to be very haunted, but no one's really allowed in them except for certain areas,
Right.
because they're still missing money.
Yeah, the reason why I got that is because we have we did an investigation in Anakin, Indiana, where Capone was near a hotel. And same thing there. They have the underground passageways, and all the basements seem to be connected through a little area there. And things seem to move back and forth. They move in that pathway, and then they'll go into certain areas. And that's why I was asking, because you may get 2 Pete's. I mean, that's the reason why you. One Pete may be from down the street, and the other one from there.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's maybe it's a seasonal thing. This spirit, like you said, they like going from a lot of people like going from the theater to the bar. So
Right.
maybe there's a certain time of year where this spirit over here he wants to go watch a movie, whatever that movie may be, and then he goes to the bar.
Well, a lot of them follow their own
Yeah.
personal habits, so a lot of them
Right.
during harvest or anything like that,
There you
when
go.
they were doing stuff, if they owned a ranch during birthing season,
Yep.
they didn't come to the bar.
Nope.
So, like during those times of year, you wouldn't see them as much. But
Right. Makes total sense, and we see that a lot too.
I think what people need to understand is when it comes to human spirits, they're doing their normal day-to-day life if they're stuck here. If you're an asshole when you were alive, you're going to be an asshole as a spirit. And some of them are doing the same thing. So,
damn rights I am. I have plans.
Right?
And especially in a bar, it all depends on how much they drank and how often they were there.
Yeah,
Right.
So I want to get. I have a question for both Ashley and Jay, because I'm curious. And if you saw a difference, are the spirits more active with the living interacting in the bar, or are they going to be more active when the bar is completely shut down and you've got Jay watching the cameras?
Well, we're just there. We're just there to document. Oh, okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jay.
Okay. Well, just to let you know that we're just there to document anything that's happening. I don't know if you got movie stars. Maybe if you're in Hollywood, to probably get them come out. But I think it's going to happen. What's going to happen? We're just there to catch it. And we're there to show the public, what we caught and possibly say, hey, listen, there's something going on out there, some energy that we can't explain. Like I said, it's either going to be energy either from another dimension, from the future, or something like that. We don't know what it is. And like I was talking to Mary from Olympic Peninsula Paranormal Society, that it's almost like quantum physics. I believe it's a quantum thing. And it has to do with energy. It definitely has have to do with energy, and it's kind of like a mixture of I don't know. It's just a mixture of everything, and we just can't put a finger on what it is. We don't have the technology to figure out what it is.
So, what I can say and add, or go ahead, Jay.
Oh, no, go ahead.
What I can say is with the activity in the bar, it seems they are more active the nights that we have had live entertainment or karaoke, nights in the bar where there's been a lot of people gathering and loud music and having a good time.
Right.
They're active during that time. They're more interactive, it seems like, with the bartenders than the customers. But they're definitely still very active after we close the bar, and we've basically given them back the bar. There's been instances almost any night that I close the bar, when we leave, we have to put in a security pin to set the alarm until I've turned around and addressed them and told them good night. They will not allow me to set the alarm.
Oh, wow.
Well, and I was thinking about that last night when you did the last call thing. Like, they're dead. There is no last call. They don't give a crap.
But it's
but they do. But they do.
But they understand.
But there is no time.
Fast.
They're like,
there's no time in the rope.
But it's still normalcy. It's a repetitive. So I could see that with some of them. Some of them act.
Yeah,
honestly,
especially if they're living their day-to-day life.
Right.
Yeah.
Some of them act like they're still alive, but they're spirits. That's how they talk.
Yep.
Very much so.
I think that young guy just hangs out no matter what.
Yeah. But no, I noticed that with Pete. Pete was talking to Carrie like they were old, almost like they were old buddies. Did you notice? Did you feel that, Carrie?
I would say that when I went to connect with him, we established that there was no judgment. There was we were neutral to each other, and so when I go into those situations, I always let him know that I'm not a threat, that I'm not here to control or do anything. I was here to communicate, and he was receptive, and he said a lot. I don't remember everything because when you're channeling that stuff, you're just sharing the information with our team and such. So, I usually try to establish that I'm not here to do anything unless it's if it's messing with the kids and it's messing with the family, then we have a little different approach.
Right.
We'll let them know that we're here and that things are going to change, and it's a different approach. But he didn't have an aggressive behavior towards me at all.
No.
He was grumpy, and he was irritated a little bit. But after we connected a little bit, he gathered who I was, and I gathered who he was, and that's why he was so willing to share all that information.
And he seemed a little bit more agitated at the beginning of it as opposed to towards the middle and the end of the conversation.
Right.
He was, like I said, he was a little bit grumpy at the beginning. He was a little bit grumpy, a little grouchy. But like I say, after we gave him a little time and we connected a little bit, that's when he started opening up and giving us more.
Excellent.
And he was from the, correct me if I'm wrong here, wasn't he from the 1800s?
I don't remember the date. What I vividly, strongly remember is him talking about that he was married. He had a couple kids. He also had a mistress. That he was proud of his big bull. He apparently had just some big bad bull. He loved his ranch. Yeah. He called it a ranch, and he showed me what it looked like in my mind, and I described it as best I could. And it was just after, like I say, at first he was a little grumpy that we were even messing with him, and as time went on and he started understanding our purpose and that we were not there to intimidate or hinder anybody in any way, but just to share. And he calmed down. a lot.
Wow.
Right.
Interesting. Now you mentioned the mistress and everything else. Did you get the feeling that the mistress and him met at the bar quite a lot?
Oh, she was around there, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
That's what yeah. And just another quick question. Was there ever a residence there at the bar, above the bar, or whatever, that someone may have been staying there, and were they present?
No.
Okay. It's always just been no one's ever lived in the bar. It was just a bar, restaurant, and that's it. Okay.
Yeah, during the Prohibition, it was actually a soda fountain. They found other ways to be able to stay open during the Prohibition. So yeah, it was actually a soda fountain for a while.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a lot of places back then that advertised as a soda fountain.
Yeah. With a shot of vodka.
Well, you guys
Come on.
see the hatch in the basement that took you down to the cellar, right? I mean, that's where they stored all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if I may cut in, if you think about it, every job, even in the future, through the past, every building, whatever happens, you're going to have yourself the boss, and then you're going to have yourself the chick that you take downstairs to a private room. Basically, it's the same in any century from the past, all the way up to the future. So he had a mistress. It could have been a chick he was, sneaking in and having an affair with downstairs in the cellar, or in any other place. If he's the boss, he's going to do whatever he wants. I'm not saying it's the right thing to say.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a brothel. It could be a person from a brothel that he sneaks into the back door.
Right.
Oh yeah. Well, one of the things about a residence is sometimes the owner or whatever would stay there, and the odd things that happen there, and the people who would go upstairs afterwards after a bar closes or after you give last call. Quite interesting.
After you give last call, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You speaking from experience?
Yeah, that's how kids get
Well, practice is perfect.
So,
I want to be a boss now.
oh God, with pointy sticks.
All right.
So, Ashley, you've been there for 9 years, correct?
Yeah.
Have you? What's your turnover rate been with bartenders? I mean, have you ever had any bartenders that just couldn't handle being poked or having their hair pulled or whatnot that quit?
You got to explain better. That you mean by ghosts, by spirits.
By spirits. There you go.
I mean, we've had a few bartenders that like to get poked in here. I mean, I'm just going to say.
Oh gosh. Boy.
We've had a few that get rather uncomfortable. We did have one potential hiree. Eldon and I interviewed her. She trained with me for a period of probably 2 days. On her second day, she sat down and had drinks with us, and Eldon started telling her about the ghosts and the activity in the bar. And the very next day, she was scheduled to show up for her shift, and she called us and told us that she had actually found a better position, that she was not comfortable working here, and that was the end of that.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
Okay. So when me and B were downstairs in the basement, she was doing some photography. I joined her downstairs, and as we were taking pictures, or she was taking pictures, and I had a thermal camera. We were looking at something that looked like somebody looking around a corner, but I wasn't too sure if that was something that that was there or not. Mm-hmm. But as I was doing that, I got poked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
you remember
wow.
that? Mo? See?
Huh.
Okay. Well, I got poked right in the stomach like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Did he giggle?
Yeah. And I swear to God, I didn't go poo poo. You know.
Oh.
I think we lost B.
Yeah, it's funny. Some of the restaurants and bars that I've investigated in the past. Did you have? It seems like there's always the same scenario. They have glasses that break or fly off the shelves, or they have tables or chairs that are moved and set up different ways. And there's always the basement area is where they have all the stock, and someone has to go down in the basement, and that is always the place that no one ever wants to go. They always feel uncomfortable there. Is it the same way there?
For me, no, not really, because the basement is just kind of, the basement for me. All of the rest of my bartenders, including well, we're not going to mention her name, but she's been here the longest, going on 15 years. And she's currently not on the roster due to a series of unfortunate incidences. But none of the other bartenders are willing to go downstairs unless there's somebody else with them.
Mm-hmm. And you know,
it's kind of creepy.
That basement's not creepy. I didn't feel creeped out down there at all. I could see that. Oh no!
The lights were on.
I just got followed apparently. But
you know what? You didn't feel creepy down there at all because you didn't turn the lights off.
Yeah. Oh, that's true too. No, the lights were on.
I turned the lights off. It was creepy down.
There we go.
That could have made another interesting dynamic had we all been down there with the lights off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, BB, she goes into the fire. I crap you not. If there's something there, she's going to be right in the middle of it.
I can see that.
She's not scared. She stutters a lot when she gets freaked out a little. She's not scared. She stays right with it. We had an investigation. I'm sorry. We had an investigation a while back at a certain place that we laid out a floor piano. And B, do you want to say anything about that?
Oh yeah, Jay had to go somewhere, and I said, well, you know what? I'm just gonna stay here, and I'm gonna sit here. And I usually like to do my investigation in the dark. Okay, for some reason. I've got a flashlight, some little light will help, right? But so I was sitting in the corner and just waiting, and all of a sudden this play piano starts playing. And I'm thinking, there's nobody here, I'm thinking, but me, and human life. I said, who? And that piano actually it was so loud that it filled up the whole unit. And I'm standing up, and I normally don't record. I don't use a recorder. I'm a photographer. I consider myself a photographer, and I go in, I take photos, and that's what I do. But this particular night, I'm sitting there in the dark, and I'm thinking, what's that? And then I realized that the camera is recording. And I'm saying, how the heck? Well, I didn't think about it then because I was like, the piano's playing, come on over here, and it really was actually playing the key. And you have to either step on it or put pressure on it. And, but instead, I thought, I heard myself saying, who's here? What's your name? What do you need? What do you want? Instead of running out the door.
Right.
I'm thinking, what the hell?
Well, I tell you what. if I may interrupt there, Bo or B. You have a closet upstairs, right above, like right when you go downstairs to the basement, right? Right. There's a closet. I don't know. I haven't been in that closet, and I couldn't find B for a little bit, and she was in that closet with the door closed behind her with no lights on.
Yeah, she was that's the dry
great.
storage closet. She's actually in there hanging out for quite a bit.
Real quick, I wanted there's two questions in the chat room that I can pretty much combine. So Deborah wants to know, do we pick up poltergeist or evil spirit? And Sherry wants to know, do we think the spirits are, what are the spirits that are in the place, and do we have history to back it up? So the answer to that, and we said it in the first hour, was it an evil spirit? No, it was, like Carrie explained, it was an interdimensional entity, so not a human. And do we have the history to back it up? Absolutely. The names that we got that were that came through with the spirits that we spoke with, absolutely. There is validation and verification of the history of those spirits being there. As far as poltergeist, Jay got poked, so that's not exactly things thrown, but he got poked. So yeah.
There's different levels of poltergeist.
The question is, did you like it when you got poked?
I wasn't picking anything up.
Right? I am going to add. So I believe it was Naomi that was the bartender that was actually working when we first arrived. And so when we first got there, I was talking to Naomi, and I asked her, had she actually ever experienced anything? And that was actually before we met Ashley and actually got to talking to her. And Naomi described seeing shadows, and as far as poltergeist, so I don't know, I'm trying to remember what they were, but you guys have like little ribbon or little tassel things that hang from the cupboards behind the bar, correct?
Yeah, those are the bar towel holders.
Yeah. So she described those, there was one day, like 2 days prior, so it would be like Thursday or Friday, maybe even Wednesday, that she actually turned around and one of those towels was actually swinging back and forth.
Yeah.
It was actually, it didn't actually have a towel attached to it. It was just the clip. I believe that the towel had been taken down to be replaced and cleaned at some point the previous day. Never actually got rehooked up to a towel. She actually took a Snapchat video of it and sent it to quite a few of us. And for a solid minute, it swung back and forth like a pendulum all by itself.
Yep. So, I mean, we always describe poltergeist activity as, cups being thrown, like Barry was talking about, tables moving on their own, things of that nature. But I would classify, a towel swinging back and forth as somewhat poltergeisty activity, along with being
I think
along with being poked,
I think that
Jay was.
I truly believe that. Well, this is my way of thinking. There's different categories from 1 to 5, so you kind of rate it. Something moves a little bit, or you hear something, or not hear something, but you get touched. That's kind of like a right? But it gets to the worst. Then from 1 to 5, 5 is like shit being thrown at you. You get chairs being very violent, and it goes from being violent somewhere in the middle. So you kind of figure out where it is. It's like when you go to the doctor. Right? And they say, how's your pain? Is it from what's your pain from 1 to 10?
Right.
You kind of got to figure out where you are in the spectrum of poltergeist. You have it bad when you wake up in the morning and you have a black eye.
Or scratches. Or scratches and bruises, things of that nature.
Right.
Have you or a knife sticking out of the wall.
No, that's like a poltergeist 10. That's a 10.
Is Carrie still with us?
Carrie unfortunately took off on us.
Okay.
Just asking. Did you have any? Have you had any bartenders or
That's a very
anybody?
unopportune moment. Naomi is actually texting me and needs my assistance, so I'm going to have to let you go and drive up to the bar to go help her.
Okay.
Oh, well. Okay.
Excellent.
All right.
Well, thank you for joining
Truly
us, Ashley.
appreciate
Absolutely.
you guys
Thank you for joining
coming
us.
in.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys coming in last night, and I'm blessed and truly appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to be in here and experience all of that with y'all.
Yeah. And
it was fun.
Yeah.
It was.
As soon as we get together, we will let you know, and we'll get some steaks on the barbecue.
Yep. We are having
I'll get the oysters crab.
we are definitely having an NWPRG / S4FMP get together soon.
All right, calm down on the acronyms there.
Yeah. And definitely looking forward to working with those guys quite frequently, actually. Because I know, Jay and I were talking here a couple months ago that you guys actually want to do UFO work and Bigfoot work and whatnot, not just the hunting side, which is, I guess we're more Bigfoot UFO than we are hunting, which is actually why we wanted to actually go do an investigation. So definitely we'll be doing sky watches, Bigfoot expeditions, whatnot, this summer.
That would be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Fantastic.
All right, Ashley.
Sure.
And Miss Dee, like I said again, I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to getting together with y'all and going over all the evidence.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, wonderful, Ashley.
All right.
Talk about evidence. Let me tell you. We're going to talk about Bibi. I'm starting to train her a little bit on working on the audio and trying to pull out stuff from the audio itself, and the program we use, a lot of people use, different things and stuff, but the go-to program that I use and that I'm used to is Magic Music Maker. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's on my computer.
Yeah, I love it, okay? It has a lot of tools, right? Yeah, you don't have to use it for drums or anything like that, but it has a lot of tools you can actually bring things out. And B, it took a little bit of time, but she has pulled up so much stuff from different investigations that we had. And, man, I'm telling you, I think that she's going to pull out some stuff from this investigation when we go through it. We had a lot of recorders out there doing EVP recorders. And I use Olympic recorders. I like Olympic recorders. But we also use old school recorders that have to do with like tape.
I gotta say, you're so. Explain your plasma ball, or the
plasma ball. Oh.
Yeah, explain the plasma device.
Well, you can call it plasma.
Well, that's the only way that's the only way I can think of to explain it, and it's cool. The concept behind it. Go into that for a little bit.
Well, everybody knows. Everybody, gets a plasma ball for Halloween and everything else. But in reality, it's actually pumping out a lot of energy, like an EMF pump that you would buy at a ghost store, right? You're paying a lot of money for that, for something that it's already been made. It's not mechanical. It should be, but it's not. It actually pumps out a lot of energy. I think we tried it. I had a plasma, something called plasma ball, but it's not. It's more like a cylinder. We got about 5 feet away from it, and then it was reading.
You can definitely get a lot of energy off a plasma ball. And if someone's standing 5 feet away from it, and they can also take the energy and pass it to someone else that's beyond that, so you can extend that energy out farther. We used to use them quite a lot, and they go up in the air farther than they do out. So you could put one on the first floor of a building, and you can actually be able to pick it up on the second floor of a building. It's a great tool to use, and also it's also a visual tool, because if something does get close to it, just like back in the old days when they used the plasma ball, you'll be able to see the energy where it touched it. You'll be able to see that energy go that way. So it's also a visual tool.
Oh, I got one for you. Why don't you have a fluorescent tube right next to the plasma ball, just enough to light it, so if something goes by it, the tube actually is blacked out.
Right.
It becomes a REM pod almost.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It does.
It's something. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, if something's feeding off of that plasma, I'm pretty sure that once it goes by there, it's going to trigger off that tube and black out, and you know there's something feeding off for sure.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's another cheap way to doing things.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the great things about it, is because, like you mentioned, there are other tools that do the same thing that an EMF pump does, and so forth like that. And we've actually even made our own EMF pumps, but which we don't use it very often anymore. But they have the capability of really being able to amp up an area very fast. But at the same time, sometimes if you have too much power, you're going to get the headache and everything else that's all involved with EMF. So,
well, you're going to get false EMF readings too. The more power you have.
Oh yeah.
And you know
that's where you have. That's where you have that's where you have either cones or something to mark the area where you know that if you get too close to something, you're going to hit it. So you got to be aware of your areas, and just kind of stay away from them. It's just like the REM pods that we have, the mini REM pods. We know that if we get too close to them, they're going to go off. So you got to be vigilant no matter what you do.
Yeah, that's one of the most important things that most of the investigators forget, is knowing your surroundings and knowing what equipment you have out there and what it does. And if you pay attention to it, then everything is great. It's the ones that get close to it and say, "Oh my God, we've got this," and they're just not aware of their area.
Right.
So as long as you are aware of what's going on in the area and you know what you have out there, you're going to have a great investigation, and the tools are going to work right for you.
Well, and that was the important part about last night, because there was 6 of us, and actually 7, because we had Ashley, we had Tori, and then of course our 2 teams. But it was important that as different people are walking around, as soon as we knew a REM pod was going off because we were too close to it, we were vigilant about saying, okay, that was just me, that was just Eric, that was just Jay, that was so when you hear a REM pod going off and you're reviewing either audio or camera, you know that that was just one of the living that was making it go off, not a spirit.
Right, exactly. You got to claim your stuff and make sure it's there.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, because you're going to have false positives. You're going to be listening to something and say, "Oh, well, I just thought I heard some footsteps," when actually, it's your buddy next door, walking.
Right.
It was just me walking by.
And then you get all excited, until you tell everybody, I found this, and then you look at the video and you have your buddy walking upstairs and didn't see nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You said something really cool earlier that I thought was really interesting, and that we discussed this quite a lot, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. We always talk about the paranormal and the UFO field, the cryptos, the Fae field, all of it are all intertwined, and they all have the same thing. Do you feel that way?
Actually, I do. As a matter of fact, Z has caught a UFO at Northern State Hospital. And
excellent.
I shit you not.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
B, you still there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, okay. Yeah, you know, if you might, I'll let you have it because it's your picture, not mine.
Oh, well, I really didn't know. I was just taking a photo. I was at Northern State Hospital, taking, photographs, and I just happened to. I didn't even see it until afterwards. But it was it's like a mystery, you know. I mean, how is it that at the click of the button, you know, you take it and you take it again, like click, and then it's gone. You know, that's what the hell? Where did it go and what was it? You know.
Exactly.
You know.
But
then I think also that when they in that particular instance, when I didn't even know it was there, you know, I was having a lot of difficulties with my camera. My camera wouldn't even take a photo. I mean, it's like experiencing sometimes, you know, well, most times when there's an entity or something around, you know, that the photos get distorted. You know.
Yes,
I mean,
yes, they
I've
always
taken
do.
photos for many, many years, and I kind of, you know, sometimes, you know, most times I know, you know, but after a while we get to know our cameras, our tools, and what we're really looking for after so many years, you know. So, but that particular time, my camera wouldn't work, and I'm thinking, okay, what's going on? But maybe I'm thinking, what was it? Was it because this thing that was up there that I didn't know it was up there just draining and wouldn't let me operate my tool, my electronics? You know, it's hard to say.
Well, you know, it's as more as you get wrapped into it, and that's what makes it so weird. We know that there are certain intelligent entities that can malfunction your equipment, and UFOs also seem to be able to do that. I can't tell you how many times we've had something that's flying right at you. You go to take a picture of it, and the camera is just dead. It will not work. And all of a sudden, after it passes by or whatever, everything's working fine. You take pictures and everything, and it's just a way like they're reading your mind. They know what you're doing, and they say, "Oh no, you're not going to see us this time."
You know, it's almost the same way as paranormal when you're in a room and all of a sudden your camera stops working, right?
Right.
It's weird. So let's jump into something a little bit more crazy here, okay? Let's say that what we're seeing, UFOs or whatever have not, are actually from the future. So maybe they're from the future, maybe they're from another planet, who knows. But I have a feeling that they're kind of intermixed. Maybe some of these things that we're seeing is actually remnants from the future, from maybe a time listing or something that we're seeing just for a second. And
okay,
causing
let me break in here real quick. We're going to be talking UFOs for damn sure the last 45 minutes of the show, because we have to bring up the lights that we all been seeing in the sky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Barry's
and Barry's a flat earther now.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that, Barry.
Because I wanted to something that we didn't have any EMF last night.
Yes, we did.
Did we?
Yes. So 2 of them on 2 separate tables were slightly going off higher than they should have been.
Okay.
And
that's right. That's right.
If when I actually think it was Jay who brought another one over and moved it to the other side of the table, and it was nothing.
Well, and that's what I liked about last night. Was last night we had more mini REM pod activity than we did anything else, other than what we caught in camera. But when it came to electronic devices, those mini REM pods definitely paid for their weight in gold.
Yeah, and then the electric field reader that you had me use, Jay, that thing, Well, if we got some insane readings off that in places that didn't make sense.
Well, if you set up these, let's say you put a, what do you call those? What do you call that game where you connect? You red and blue and whatever. What was that? What's the game called? Twister.
Oh, Twister.
Right?
Oh, Twister. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you have a mat right there, right? That has all the dots, and you have mini REM pods on each dot, right? If something's going to go through it, if something goes past it, those REM pods on that, whatever side it goes past, it's going to light up. So you're going to see this like a, let's just say, like a fog. I'm not going to say a fog, but an invisible fog go through. You're going to see there's something going through and making a passage through that grid. I haven't seen anybody do that, and that's something that should be, made. Maybe a mat that has these REM pods built into it. So, you roll it up, you can roll it out, set it on the ground, and if something goes through it, you're going to see activation going right through.
Well, that's a new project for you to work on.
Awesome. Oh,
really?
I'm on it.
All right. No, I love the toys you make.
Yeah.
You make some awesome you make some awesome gear.
Now that electric field meter that that we had out last night, I actually tried something with this thing. It was giving us a reading of 1,000 volts on average, sitting down on the table. I went near it, and while I was near it, I grounded and re-shielded. It went down to 24.
It went.
Damn.
Oh, remote. Damn.
It dropped hard.
So
that's crazy.
Okay.
Walked away from it,
and
it went mildly back up to about 500.
What I thought was odd was when Ashley and Tori were holding it, it was actually pulsating with their heart rate.
Yeah. And then turned off on them.
Right, well, the amazing thing about it is that it picks up static electricity in the body also. So it's just like a natural tri-field meter. If you put one of those out and someone who has a lot of static electricity on them, somebody will walk in front of it, nothing will happen. The next person walks by it that has a lot of static electricity, the thing will go, wow. So, yeah, it's all.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody's energy is all different in frequencies, and it just is able to pick it up, which is very cool.
Right. It also matters if you're Steven Seagal,
Right, exactly.
So Barry,
you got that. You got that, right?
Yeah.
You would love.
He wears his jumpsuit, right?
you would love their command center, because their command center was actually in a Dodge van, with nothing but screens in the back of the van. It's like a what year was that van, Jay? That was a
the van. Oh, what year? It's not 95. I can't remember. It was a 9. It has a lot of miles on it. Let's just say that.
It was a customized Dodge van turned into a command center. I mean, they had all the cameras, everything wired straight into the van that was sitting outside the bar. So that
excellent.
Jay sat in the van all night and watched cameras.
Yeah.
It took me about a year.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how many look-and-loons we got. We had this morning while we were packing up, getting ready to leave. We had we were the center of attention there this morning.
Oh,
I bet you're in concrete.
Of course.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to turn on. I made it fun. I made the van fun. Instead of just being a black van, look like you're DEA or whatever have not. I put on some lights and stuff on top, make it look, like fun. If I wanted to do something for the kids and stuff, I would turn them on or whatever I have now. I have this orange light.
Right.
You can probably see it on our website or whatever I have now, or on our Facebook and what it looks like. The inside has computers. It has a laptop connected to another screen, which we could do a split screen. So one's for audio, one's for video. We also have a big monitor inside, a big TV in there, and that's for monitoring the cameras, DVR system. We have a shelf that houses 2 SLSs. It houses motion detectors. It houses two remote control tanks that has capability of K2, static sensor, and a GoPro and a microphone. So we could send them into, like, let's say, like that area that I don't know, what do you call that? That hole that she didn't like to go into.
Right.
Stuff like that, or in an attic.
Exactly.
Yeah, in an attic and stuff like that. So we could drive it in there, and we could view it on a phone, and actually drive it around just like a remote control car.
Excellent.
Oh, there you go.
There's no reason to go in there. Yeah, it's a rover, so there's no reason for somebody to get hurt.
Mm-hmm. And it's also a crossover. I mean, you can use it in different types of investigations. You can use it as a crossover tool.
We could drive it. We could drive it right up to Area 51.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you a whole different perspective, which is just awesome. You mentioned SLSs. Did you use the SLS in the bar last night?
Oh no, I try to keep it very little. It's a little place, and I knew that me and my and the rest of the team went home. Everybody went home. It's just me and my mom, Pete, and I knew that there's going to be a lot of stuff to clean up, right?
Right. Exactly. Well, you're just like everybody else. Exactly.
It's like everybody don't wipe their hands clean and say, "Okay, have a nice day."
Yeah.
So we get stuck with, and my mom helped me out a lot. I really love it.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
So she's there.
It's kind of like a family thing. That's awesome. That's always awesome.
Oh, we make an awesome team. I mean, we've been together since the beginning. So she's been there helping me out and everything else.
Oh, that's super.
Doing what she does.
What do you guys think of the Ghost Box and the portals and that kind of stuff? Mm-hmm. You ever use those?
No, I mean, I've seen them. I think people use them and stuff. I think they could work. It gives me a headache.
Yeah.
Because, it always runs into static. But that's the only reason that I don't really use it, because that noise gets into me. It's like can't handle it after a while. Mm-hmm. That's all you hear is.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It gets crazy.
And honestly,
that's why some of the ones that are dead in that are good.
Honestly, I don't think, like with your team, you really need to have a voice box when you have a sensitive as good as Carrie.
Sensitive. Yeah.
I think that's an either or type situation. Now, if you don't have a sensitive that's good at what they do, then maybe or maybe not, a ghost box would be a viable option. But you're sensitive once they're vetted and they've proven themselves, like yours did last night to us for damn sure. Carrie is a walking voice box or walking ghost box.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. We were.
I remember. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because. A lot of the teams now, and we tried it last night, we were doing the Estes method where blindfold and put a headset on and one person listens to it where they're in a different room and they cannot hear anyone else asking questions or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And we had a psychic there. And
Man, I was just amazed. We got some just fantastic responses, and sometimes we've heard it and it's crazy, but last night it was just amazing. It was just phenomenal. It almost floored me. I couldn't believe what we were getting out of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I could tell you when I didn't know Terry at all in the beginning. I was I was kind of skeptical of the situation, you know, and he proved himself, and we wouldn't have Terry on the team without BB, because BB and Terry are really close friends, and they work together. They've been on investigations together, and if it wasn't for her, I think that I probably still to this day kind of be iffy on how they work. But but as for B, she has some ability to actually sense these things. Not as strong as Terry, but
right.
Anybody that has an ability should be more forward about it. Instead of hiding it and thinking, they don't believe in it, I'm not going to do it. But,
right.
Yeah, it's hard for psychic. There's a lot of people. Well, there's also the ones that claim to be psychic, and they're about as psychic as your left toe. But there's the ones that have an ability that have had it from childhood. And they're very private about it because of the social conditioning of the times, where people would think that they were weird or whatever, and they don't get into it. But when you find a psychic that is overcome all that and has the ability, and he was mentioning he's also, like a crossover medium and that, which is fantastic, and all those things combined make a very good thing for a paranormal team.
Oh, and I think that we got a great paranormal
yeah.
team. I mean, B, if you look at our website, most of the pictures that, or not website, but our Facebook, most of the pictures that you see is not caught by me or it's caught by B. B is the one that knows. It's almost like she senses something and she just follows it and just takes the picture. I mean, there's this one shot that we took at Fort Casey, and she was painting the room, and on the second shot, she actually caught an entity going through the window, and this guy, you could see his face. It's not a, how people say, it looks kind of like, no, this thing's going through the window, and it's not only that. Right after that, after her shot, there was an orb. It turned into a solid orb, and it's going up in front of the frame of the windows that's inside the house. So inside the place that we're at.
Yeah.
So, like I say, B has talent, and everybody has talent. You gotta look for a good team that will fit in what you need.
Excellent. Excellent. I love that. I love that because that's exactly what you do. And a long time ago, I interviewed Hans Holzer back in the mid '70s, and that's how I got involved in the paranormal. And we sat down and we were talking about it, and he was like going, that was the most important part. I never forgot that. And that's how they make a solid team. If you have those people, because there are people that can touch a camera and capture things on it. And there's people that just cannot do it. And then you also have people that are excellent with EVPs and can hear them and understand them and pick them out like crazy. And if you have all the things and you have the sensitives there with you and you have everything, that makes a solid team. And everybody goes about their own business, and everybody knows what's going on, and it works out perfect in that manner. So you get the best of all worlds, and your team is well rounded.
And on that note, it is time for our second break. And when we come back, we'll carry on. Actually, we're probably going to jump into UFOs.
And here we are.
Hallelujah.
You are are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
And welcome back to S4 for our last hour of the show tonight. We are talking, we were talking about our investigation with the hub with NWPRG. And I believe, I know with all the lights everyone's seen in the sky, and actually I believe it was a week or two ago that there were other lights that were seen in the sky over concrete that I felt it needed to be addressed.
Whatever are you talking about? I was unfortunately doing something for my wife, therefore I didn't get to see it.
Neither did I. As a matter of fact, like 5 seconds after everyone saw these lights, and, I got a picture sent to me of them. They were like, huh, interesting. Where was this? Going down Concrete Sauk Valley Road. Like, seriously? So it went right over my house? Great.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was cool to see.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
To throw that up.
Huh?
What was it?
Okay, so the official story is that it is the secondary rocket of the Falcon 9 launch.
Right.
For Starlink.
Mm-hmm.
That's the official story.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so...
Yeah.
Okay, so the Falcon 9 is a rocket that was set off, and I guess it broke apart. Am I correct?
Well, so
Elon Musk is part of Elon Musk's Starlink project.
Yes, and this rocket was supposed to actually have a controlled re-entry, which would allow it to burn up in the atmosphere. But it was Russian, and wow,
it didn't go as planned.
Just the Russian technology. Come on, man.
Sorry, Russia.
So, Joe.
Whoa.
Is Joe still
Yes.
with us? Did you see it in California?
No, I didn't see it. I was out here, but I was looking to the east.
Okay.
And apparently, from where I'm at, it would be more to the northwest. So.
Yeah, I went right over my house, apparently.
You know, the odd thing about it is, you know, and I sent you the picture and the thing that we had here in Louisville, up by Louisville, when somebody sees the same thing. And I'm kind of going, wait a minute. How can we see this in Kentucky and also see this in Washington State? And that always kind of bothers me.
That's...
We've heard all that about meteorites and everything else, and there was no meteor showers. I don't know, and I haven't done the research on it to be able to check to see if when that rocket was launched, how long it was in space, how long it takes to do it. Mm-hmm. But, you know, there's a lot of different debris that comes in and everything else, and they monitor that stuff so well. And believe me, somebody would have known about it that day. They wouldn't have had to go around hunting for the idea of what was happening because they would have already known that that's coming in because we monitor space junk.
I don't think it's the fact that
they didn't plan on it coming in at that time, and it's possible that something happened to it while it's in orbit. The main part of it came down off in Washington, and there might have been another part of the rocket that, you know, continued on before it entered, and it was over Louisville.
Kentucky.
So it was supposed to come in. It was planned for it to come in, but they lost control of it as it was entering the atmosphere. They weren't supposed to lose control of it at that point.
Yeah.
Chinese shot it.
No, I'm telling you, this is what happens when you put AI into machines. It was like, this is my suicide. I'm going to handle it how I want to.
So Barry, Barry,
I don't know how big it was, but I mean, and the rocket is not that big, and it's going to burn up as it comes into the atmosphere. I mean, we already know that it's going to burn for a little bit. The weird thing about it is the two pictures looked almost identical.
So Barry,
they both look like space debris.
I want you to put your MUFON hat on for a second. And how many reports came through MUFON about crazy lights in the sky that night?
To be truthful with you, I haven't looked at it, but while you guys are talking, I will go back and look real quick. Hold on. Can you get that right? Real quickly.
I think I sent you guys the picture of the debris coming by the Space Needle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome picture.
Well, what's crazy too is so some of our locals up here were saying they saw it go towards the dam, and they actually thought it hit the side of a mountain, and they heard a noise. Now I haven't heard anything since then. I don't know if it. And was it the same thing in Canada where it hit a mountain or hit the woods and nothing?
No, Canada was just like
not
a
the same
giant
thing.
fire.
Okay,
So this one actually had the color of.
No, that was like 2 months
You
ago.
had the right colors.
That was 2 months ago.
The one in Canada.
Yeah.
That looked like.
It was blue.
Yeah, and it was the type of blue, you know, in Men in Black when they do the
neuralizer.
It was that color of blue, and it lit up the entire sky. They call that a meteorite.
Wow.
It landed in a completely dense forest. No fire reported. And no one's allowed near the site.
And that one was like 2 months ago. That wasn't the recent one. The recent one just didn't feel right.
Well, it also depends on what it was actually made out of when it does the burn on re-entry, whether it shows a different color or not. I mean,
my favorite is the
what
first
date
official,
was that? Do you remember what day that was?
Friday.
Give me 1 second.
I want to say Wednesday or Thursday.
For which one? For the meteor, the rocket?
No, the recent one.
The one in Canada, or the one here?
The one here.
That was a couple days ago, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting out by the fire and I was making fun of my kids and I was like, "Hey, look, an alien!" laughing with them, and they went, "Oh my God, Mom, what is that?"
It was Thursday.
Thursday.
It was Thursday.
Yep.
But the first official report I saw was the fact that it was a small plane that landed or that crashed in Oregon.
Yeah.
Like a Cessna.
Yeah, we saw that first.
Right.
So it went right over our heads in flames and made it all the way to Oregon.
Yeah. No. Okay, what's the question?
Oh, just a quick question. Spacecraft. Do you think they disguise themselves as rock?
I think like they disguise themselves as a meteor coming in.
No. not a meteor. Not a meteor. Because that's falling. You see it in its fire. I'm talking about something that would be shaped like a rock. That would be if they'd landed someplace in the mountains to have surveillance on a town or a city. So all they got to do is just land there and look like a rock. You could walk by it and it looks like a rock.
Because cloaking device.
I think they have cloaking
device. Yeah,
I'm sure that some of them do.
Mm-hmm.
What, UFOs? Like off-world craft? Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them do cloak. Some of them are the cause of lightning. That's been shown. So cloaking technology, absolutely. I mean, we've got it here, so they would absolutely have it if they haven't given it to us.
Well, and we got to think, like,
I'll tell you what. I would like to send you the picture that. Yeah, I would like to send you the picture that B took because that thing looks like a flying rock. When she took the three shot burst, it was there. It was the first frame was empty. The second frame had this thing in it, and when they zoomed up on it, it had the exact lighting that the sunshine was hitting on the building, exact same spot on the whatever this thing was. Mm-hmm. And then the next shot, it was gone. Some people say it was a bird. Well, I don't think a bird could fly in like a second and get away from the next shot. Mm-hmm. That's, either they're using cloaking, and then either they had a malfunction where, it was looking like a rock, and then back into cloaking again. That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe Barry can confirm this, but I've heard reports of people seeing a jet aircraft go over, but it sounds like an old propeller airplane.
Right.
In other words, they've got the visual, but they've got the sound down wrong. So maybe they do have the ability to cloak.
Yes, could be. Could be. It's interesting. In the last, from the 26th to the 28th, there was 48 reports that were filed. A few fireballs, and you left fireballs around on the same date, around the same time, in Wisconsin, Washington. The one that we had in Louisville was not wasn't reported to MUFON. It was brought to me, and they didn't want to do anything with it. So some of the ones that are on here, it's pretty interesting, and also the shape of what some people say unknown in Pennsylvania, same right around the same time, all seeing different types of objects But the fireball, which he called it a fireball, and it's all up to what people determine what they were actually seeing at the time. But we had them in different states. We did have them, and there's 3 states in Wisconsin and Washington, and we know we have one in Kentucky also. So it's pretty interesting.
Oh, that's what's weird is fireballs usually come down. These lights
exactly right,
going,
or they blow up somewhere.
Right, but these lights were going from west to east.
Yes.
They were moving horizontally.
Yeah, and the other weird thing about it is sometimes that's what always bothers me about their explanation to meteors. I don't know about everybody else, but meteors come down at an angle and they normally explode. But when you see a meteor that starts in Georgia and goes all the way through Ohio or something like that, and and the film shows it on a flatline path flying over, it always kind of blows my mind. I'm going like, well, how the hell is that possible?
Well, that could have to do with the angle that it comes into the atmosphere.
Right, or which part of the atmosphere?
I think you all remember when the shuttle...
flat Earth theory, I mean, obviously that it just goes...
flat Earth theory.
It comes into the left, it goes to the right, and it's all flat. There's no curvature of the Earth.
Right.
Well, you remember when the shuttle busted up, they found debris from Texas to Florida.
Right.
That's because it came in at an angle.
Do you remember when it broke up? Do you remember the pictures of it?
Day.
The date? No, I don't remember.
I don't remember the date, but I do remember seeing the pictures, and it looked a lot like...
Oh, yeah. It looked a lot like that.
It looked like a craft that had blown up.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was.
Well, in the pictures I saw, I mean, I saw a video a guy took of it actually going over him, and it reminded me of a craft. It looked like chunks of rock, but it was almost like they were held together and moving in unison. I mean, they weren't deviating. The rocks weren't. It was weird. It was just.
Well, it's all coming in on the same vector, and it starts breaking up. All those pieces are still going to keep going in that same direction.
Yeah, they're not going to.
As it's breaking up.
Yeah.
Even breaking up.
Well, what was odd?
Not enough direction.
What was odd? It looked to me like it was just the same thing with, as we mentioned, the space shuttle. It looked identical to the space shuttle, but it was already in the atmosphere before it blew up. As it was coming in, it didn't blow up and then just scatter. It came in, and
pieces were ripped off of it.
Right.
As it was coming in, it was...
But you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the Mauna Loa.
No.
Yeah.
It did in shape.
Not from what I saw.
No, the video I saw looked like the Mauna Loa, but in chunks of rock. Shape-wise, it looks cigar
videos
shaped.
of it. Yeah. Well, see, that's the other thing, because a lot of people also reported circles, disc shape, or cigar shapes. There's several cigar shapes that were seen. So it's all on how.
Well, it was a rocket booster. Rocket boosters are cigar shaped.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a big hollow tube.
Yeah. Well, it was seen then. If you look at the cigar shape, it was seen in Colorado. It was seen in Oregon. It was seen in Washington on the 26th. Also, there was someone reported as a triangle. So there's several different things that are looking at it. There's one in Washington on the. Well, this is earlier. This is on the 20. Well, no, this was actually on the 27th. Report.
So you were told.
Excuse me, I'm very sorry.
Go ahead, B.
So UFOs are seen, right? I mean, I read so many, articles and, the news and articles UFOs are seen. But my question is, are they heard?
So some of them have a rumbling noise or a vibration.
Yes. Yes, the one that came by here, it was just over the treetops and it was just floating. I was sitting here and I felt it before I heard it, and it was a low, like rumble. I could feel it in my body. I don't think it was making that much noise, but
and that's what's interesting.
That particular one, yeah.
So the UFOs today, yes, they're felt like Joe described. Oftentimes you'll feel a vibration. Oftentimes you'll hear a rumbling, but not like an engine. Now, if you look at if you look at the cases of UFOs in the the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, they actually heard an engine. Now, is that a case of aliens technology changes? Yes, it does. We know that. Or was it government experimental craft? Absolutely a possibility.
Well, it was also a noise they expected to hear, so maybe back then their cloaking device was more of a towards what they were expecting.
Yeah. Now, talking about cloaking devices, yes, some UFOs appear as a cloud. Some UFOs move with clouds.
Well, if you think about history, it's talking about mountains in the sky. It's talking about Vimanas, which are like little villages in the sky. All of these different ideas of the same thing. So I think it's whatever that region or that area would be comfortable with seeing in the sky is what they're going to put up there.
Or the culture.
Yeah.
All you have to do is go down and stand on the road and watch vehicles go by. They're not all going to sound the same, and they're not all going to look the same.
Right,
That's
exactly.
Right. It matters of what year model you have.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
That 69 VW Bug goes by does not sound like the semi that just went by.
Yeah.
So let's say that there's a universe or a galaxy, I don't know, 45 million light years away, or whatever have not, and there's something that's closer. Would you think that the time difference would be because of how far the distance is on light travel?
I don't think.
Yeah, they're not all from the same place.
Right, and also if they're using, we've heard ripping sounds when they come in. They just pop out of nowhere, or they go into nowhere. If they're using a portal or a wormhole, is there a sound that's made before that? Is there something that makes that happen? I was really surprised to see also this weekend, Friday I think it was, when the ex-defense guy from 2020 and 21 was on Fox News and mentioned that yes, we've seen these crafts, we have identified them. They do not make sonic booms. They go at incredible speeds, and he was very serious on his reports. So there's so much coming out, and it'll be interesting to see what they release.
I'm waiting for June 1st.
That's exactly right.
June 1st, the Pentagon is supposed to release 10,000 more documents.
Yes. Yeah, that's going to be a heck of a drop.
Each one of them will have one word on it.
So,
right? or blacked out.
Yeah.
What I guess what I'm trying to say is that you have different distances, and by the way of traveling, not everybody travels on the same light speed. You might have some universes that are a little bit closer to ours, or galaxies, and maybe their technology is less advanced or more advanced, where they finally reach us and it sounds like a jalopy compared to a Porsche.
Right.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? So this is why we get different probably pitches, different kind of noises. If they're traveling dimensionally, well, that's something different. Maybe these UFOs that we're seeing is not really from another galaxy. Maybe they're from the future. For some reason, our engines in the future are powered by an energy that we haven't even discovered yet. That's what's messing things up in the past and causing us to see ghosts.
Or we've seen that energy. Yes, it's kind of like that theory of saying, "Are we our own ghosts? Or are we their ghosts?"
Exactly. When we see a ghost from the 1850s, was there someone standing there in the 1850s and saw us standing at the end of the bar?
Exactly.
So what you're saying is there's a time rip. There's a rip in time, a ripple in time, because of the energy that we're using in the future from either our aircraft that's using newer engines, and they don't even know that we're fucking up for our past. They're saying, okay, we're going to put on this General Motors engine that has quantum whatever in their energy, and we're actually using making black matter, or what is that right there?
Dark
matter.
Yeah, dark matter. It's weird because currently, right now, with the magnetic, a lot of people say that there's high magnetics around UFOs and so forth like that, and we have to also look at if it is our equipment. If we have remanufactured this and they have never told us that they are 80 years in advance of us. Is that going to make a noise? Is that our stuff that we're not being told about, that we're looking at and seeing as a UFO, as an unidentified craft, because that's all a UFO is, or a UAP or whatever, unidentified aerial phenomena. Is it ours? We've heard a lot of reports from different people that say, hey, if you see one on a Thursday, it's definitely ours, or if it has this sound, or if it has bolts on it.
Well, I think that's part of the confusion, Barry, is you get things that are ours, you get things that might be from the future, you get things that might be from another dimension, you get things that might be from the next solar system over, and it's all pushed in, and people are trying to say, well, it's one thing. No, what if it's 5, 10, 20 different things?
Right. It's like so many people are seeing orbs in the sky. Is that an own personal vehicle that someone's using to go back to a ship that's outside? Who knows? There are so many different variations to it, and we don't know how many people have been here. Or is it a craft or is there one that is coming out of the ground or out of the water that's been here that they have used for 200 years, and it's going to sound different than something that came from the future or from another interplanetary area. So there's a lot of difference.
Hey, 30 years ago, people would have freaked out if a Prius went by and wasn't making any noise.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I don't know how this. I don't know how true this is. I mean, I've heard many years ago that the Bermuda Triangle, we had UFOs actually diving into the Bermuda Triangle. We see them they've been seen up in the sky and everything else, and they've been seen, in various places of the world, But what about the water? Do you suppose they actually...
we've had...
There's reports of them diving into the water and they don't even make a splash.
Right.
Yeah, those are USOs, unidentified submergible objects.
And out in California, you got the Mariana Trench out there. You got that one trench out there. You've got one off the coast. Yeah, and we've got one off of there by the Bermuda Triangle and everything else. It drops off.
And going that route, there's supposed to be an underwater base, alien base off the coast of California. There's supposed to be one off the coast of Italy, France. I'm trying to remember. I mean, they're all over, but I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, those bases that are off the Southern California coastline. I grew up right there on the beach.
Right.
We used to see stuff out over the ocean all the time, but we always just assumed, it's something from Point Magoo Naval Air Station, or we always just assumed it was military craft out there.
But look at the Battle of L.A. I mean...
exactly.
We've shot at them. So
my mom remembers that.
So real quick, I also have to bring up Deborah's comments, because she's actually had a UFO experience, I believe in the 70s. That was a low cylinder-shaped cigar, black in color, about a mile long, and that was in Alger. So that's local. And I got to bring up, I remember as a child hearing about a mothership that always hovered over Mount Baker. And So Thursday night, when the entire community up here was talking about these lights in the sky that I didn't see and Cole didn't get to see, and but we heard about them, and so I was actually talking to one of the locals because she was kind of freaked out, and I told her about there's actually an orb-shaped UFO that actually flies from White Horse Mountain in Darrington to Mount Baker at least 2 to 3 times a week. And so the conversation went to volcanoes. And, you can confirm too, Barry, a lot of UFOs seem to be drawn to volcanoes. And, we've discussed this on the show before, that there's a theory that many UFOs actually use the geothermal energy from volcanic activity to actually power their craft.
Right.
Or gases coming off of the volcanoes.
Right. Yeah, because you see them diving in and out of them and around them all the time.
Well, what about that? What about that spaceship that looked like a rock? I just passed not too long ago. That's long and slender.
Muamua.
Yeah. What if that came from a volcano from another planet, a bigger planet?
Possible.
Yeah, very possible, and I'm still not sure that it didn't land in Antarctica.
No, I went down the elevator. By the grass. Yeah.
There is one more question.
Is this Bigfoot flying? Mm-hmm.
Right.
What was that, Jay?
The question I've really been scratching my head is, we're talking about submersible UFO. How about that one that actually dived into the ocean of Hawaii? It wasn't, that far from Hawaii. Why hasn't anybody gone out there and investigated it? It's something other than just have a lot of people, 3 people filming.
It might have dove into the water, but it didn't necessarily crash into the water, and it's still going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, it's going to be at the bottom. If it's going to a base, and I always like using the example of the movie The Abyss. If you've seen the movie The Abyss, they have bases at the bottom of the ocean where we can't get to. Until, I don't know, in the last, I don't know how many years, but we're just now coming to the technology of actually getting submergibles to, like, the bottom of Mariana Trench and whatnot.
Oh, no, man. Not even. We are so
if
far
you're
from
going to
being
come
able
to
get
this
there
planet from somewhere else, if you're going to come here from somewhere else, either another time, another dimension, or another place, and you wanted to land, you didn't want anybody to bother you, if you could hide under the water, that's the perfect place.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, and if you think about
no one's going to bother you.
If you think about the atmospheric pressure of other planets, they're very similar to the atmospheric pressure of our oceans.
Yeah, so, it's not going to. There's not going to be. They're not going to be affected by it.
Right, their ships are built for that. If they're coming out of something like Jupiter, for instance, then they're going to be able to go into there.
Honestly, how many naval reports? You got reports from sailors in the Navy that actually commonly watched UFOs come and go from the ocean.
Right. And we've also had reports of them coming up and almost causing like a tidal wave when they go up, or where it will not make a gigantic splash, but it gives in and it pushes the water towards a ship or rocks it really hard.
Right.
There's a rise in the water at that time. So it's amazing stuff, and that's where we're definitely wanting to look more and more towards. I hate to say disclosure. I think it's happening all the time, slowly, but what we see in these reports in June and everything else in the United States, some of the stuff that is being talked about that is this hidden stuff, and as we did the show on MJ12 and so forth, you start putting it all together, and you can see that stuff has been hidden for so long, and where it's all going and how it's all happened.
it's really, really baffling to me. We've been talking on the show about, it's going to be disclosure in 2017 because of the New York Times article. And, and you've got to the Stars Academy, you've got all these different signs that, oh my God, and this was back, 4 years ago now, about disclosure. And then 2018 comes along and, oh my God, disclosure. And now it takes a pandemic and all of a sudden, the Pentagon comes out in the middle of a pandemic, July of 2020, that, we've got a crashed off-world craft.
Right.
And nobody even flinched. Nobody in the UFO community flinched.
I told you back in 2017.
Well, it's kind of like going,
it's not disclosure.
It's soft disclosure. It's do something over here with your right hand while we're telling you something. Don't look at the left hand because we got something going on over here.
I honestly don't even think it's soft disclosure. I think it's actually not disclosure. Like,
it's not.
No one's going to care until they actually come and say hi.
Right.
And then people are just going to freak out and try to shoot them.
Yep.
That's the way the world works.
And
it's like
and that's what we're talking about next week.
Poke them with a stick.
Yeah. Well, pretty interesting thoughts of what some of these ideas of children underground and bases and some of the stuff that we have heard about lately. That would just, if that is all true and what is reports that I have been seeing about the things that they were also battling in a war going on under there, that will shock people out of their gourd. If that would all be true, And that would cause a riot in its own way.
Yep.
Don't expect anything from this disclosure that's supposed to come up in June. All you're going to get is a bunch of reports from people that saw things in the sky.
Yes.
Going to be.
Right.
Yep.
All the same stuff. Yeah.
But I'm still going to be right there downloading it.
You have to remember, too, that...
we'll be downloading. We'll be looking at it.
You're talking about all the dates there in 2012. Remember, the world was going to end because of the Mayan calendar.
Yeah, it's actually 2021.
They figured out that it's 2021 because the guy that carved the calendar was dyslexic.
Yep,
absolutely. I'm Hispanic and I'm disappointed.
And that's why. So next week, and we're coming down. We have about 20 minutes left of the show, but next week, April 4th, we will be talking about. Are you prepared for an alien invasion? And how do you prepare, and what would you do? Perfect timing. And it won't be April Fool's.
I have a 10-pound cannon.
Where are you going to hit them? In the head or
You
the
know
groin?
what, Joe? When you walk into a bar and tell a girl that, they're not going to believe you.
Yeah.
That's not my pickup line.
Yeah.
Pointy stick forward.
Hey,
Yeah.
So, I think we're gonna have to let you go. I only have 3 hours of sleep. I have to get to 5 in the
Yep.
Before you go, Jay, you wanted to give a couple shout-outs.
Yes, I do. Thank you. One to my mom. Hey, Mo.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up? Love you. Okay, so I have Forest Moon Paranormal. Eric and Paul, thank you very much for everything that you've done in dragging us over there.
Oh, it was fucking. It was awesome. Yeah. It was.
Man, that was awesome. We gotta do something. We gotta do something again soon.
Oh, we will.
Sure. And I want to say hello to Olympic Commission Paranormal Society. I want to say hello to Mary. And I want to say hello or thank you to White Noise. That's Raven's team, and thank you for what you've done. I guess that's pretty much it. And so, all you guys been very, very.
Hey Jay, if you got a website or Facebook, mention that also, so the other people, the listeners, can get to it and see it and look at some of your stuff, because that'd be great.
Sure, you can go to just type in Northwest Paranormal Research Group,
and you're going to see my van on there. You can't miss it.
Oh, you have an awesome van.
Yeah, you'll see the picture. And then you'll see, it looks like an apple. And then you'll see, you go to
He's cutting.
Yeah, you're cutting out there, Jay.
NWPRG.org.
Perfect.
And I also want to say a big hello to our South group. We got another team sister group located in Grays Harbor. Pretty sure that
where'd he go?
Oh, anyway, sorry. I lost. Anyway, so I want to say hello to Grace Harbor and hey, man, you guys keep it up. It's Grace Harbor Northwest Paranormal Research Group down there. Lance is the director. Tammy is the lead investigator. Paige is the medium. Andy is a medium in training, and Jesse and Cody are new investigators in the team. Hi guys, keep up the good work. All right, I guess that's it.
Well, let me say thank you very much, Jay. Thank you very much, Carrie, and thank you very much, B. You guys were awesome last night. You were awesome tonight. We loved having you here, and loved having you on the show.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you all.
Good night.
And we definitely looking forward to working with you guys continually.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric.
Hey, we're here.
Eric.
We're here when you are.
Eric.
Yep.
I love you. Love you, Eric.
All right.
Night.
Good
night, guys.
Good night.
Thank you very much again. So yeah, next week we've got our alien abduction. What's after that? Or alien invasion?
Yep. So hold on, I just moved my So April 4th, yes, we have already prepared for an alien invasion.
Ooh, that's Easter, guys.
Is it?
Yeah. The bunny.
Oh.
That big fat ass bunny.
The Easter bunny's an alien? What?
Here comes Peter.
So April 11th, we have what's a paranormal emergency and how do you protect yourself? And then, of course, the 18th is a round table.
Sweet.
And then April 25th is dangers of the paranormal.
You guys got your questions.
And that's April. So I'll stop there. We'll hit May when we actually hit April. But that is our April schedule. Topics I love to talk about, actually, because there's a, we talk about the dangers of the paranormal all the time, actually. And for example, having a black shadow follow me around the bar last night, I had no idea until I was told about it.
I do think we need to push one of those shows back to have the intervention.
The intervention.
Yes, that's
so
it.
Barry doesn't become a flat earther.
Oh, yeah. We have to have a flat earther intervention.
Frick.
Barry,
you know what I heard earlier that a large mass followed Eric into the bar. I was wondering, well, where was Cole?
You know what? Actually, I was right behind him too, and I was a little insulted when they first said that. But I'm like, I was like 10 steps behind him. That wasn't me. But then at the same time, he tried to talk to us about a game, and he chose Twister. He saw me. There is no way I play Twister.
No. But yeah, I think, dangers of the paranormal, there's a lot of, and so NWPRG has been around for 10 years, and Jay and I talked about this last night. They definitely, they've been around long enough to know paranormal. They have protection they use, everything you're supposed to do for a valid team. But there's a lot of teams, I'd say 80% of the teams out there are, if your team is under 5 years, to me, you're a newbie. You're new. Because most teams are hobbyists. Most teams, I want to go to this place. And, okay, good luck.
Yeah.
When it comes to, and not everything that's dangerous is paranormal. You got black mold, you've got carbon monoxide, you've got a whole lot of...
Tweakers.
Yeah, that's the worst. And so, they kind of laughed at me last night because I had a small bag. And I did explain, I pack for the investigation. If it's something like, I'm not going to take a 72-hour pack with me for a residential or a business. However, if I'm going on a Bigfoot expedition, if I'm going in the mountains, hell yeah, I've got a survival kit. I've got first aid. Of course, first aid is a given. First aid goes in any pack. Last night was no exception. I had a trauma kit, a small one, and the evidence collection kit. It really, you pack for, and I know I've been talking to Jay for 2 or 3 months. I knew they were a tech team. I didn't need a whole lot of major stuff. I don't have a whole lot of major stuff. We're not a tech team. We would love to be a tech team. That takes a lot of money and a lot of know-how. Jay creates his own technology, which is freaking awesome. So I didn't need to pack a lot. I have my trauma kit. I have my evidence collection kit if we needed it. Now, I took that more or less to show to them what we've got as far as our evidence collection, because it is geared a lot more for picking up Bigfoot scat, Bigfoot hair, things of that nature. The evidence you collect for a ghost or a haunting investigation is usually going to be video or audio. Obviously, or if you've got proximity meters, things of that nature. It's going to be tech related. Unless you have a phenomenal medium like they do. I was highly impressed with Kerry, watching him work last night.
I was impressed with him tonight. He was very, very good. Very good. And, it's like we had different to-go bags, if you did a UFO investigation or a Bigfoot investigation with certain equipment you definitely have that you don't normally bring on any other investigations. So you grab that to-go bag. But there are certain things that are always in every bag,
Oh, you're always going to have your first aid. You're always going to have your medical.
Right.
Again, I always do.
And the recorder is always going to go everywhere because you can use it different ways.
Right. The recorder you can sit and talk into. Okay,
right.
I'm up here in the mountains, or hey, I'm here in the hub. Whatever the case is.
Exactly.
That's your note taking. The days of writing things down. Yes,
Right.
It's important to still write things down if you need to, but it's easier to just sit and talk into your recorder. That's your note taker.
Yep, and it saves you on spelling.
I wasn't going to go there, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
But
what do we have going on into the fire this week?
Well, thank you. Into the fire this week, we have a team out of Clarksville, Tennessee. That's a great team. They're called Third Round Paranormal, and we're going to be talking to them. We're going to be doing an investigation with them here shortly, and at the end of the week on Saturday night. And they're going to be on, and they're going to talk about some of the things that they've been doing and some of the interesting things that they use. And we're looking forward to it. They're a good team, so it will be interesting.
Awesome.
All right. And you had something?
So, as everyone knows, I'm a Catholic, and this next week is a particularly important week for us. Today is Palm Sunday, so happy Palm Sunday to everyone out there. And I'm going to leave you with one last thing for the week, a Bible verse for those of us who are Catholic and mechanics. It's he who is without oil shall throw the first rod. Lubrications, 5:30. Everybody have a happy Easter. We'll see you Easter Sunday.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Joe, you got any last words?
Nope, not at all.
No. Okay. All right. Y'all stay safe this week. We will see you next week for Alien Invasion Show. And with that, remember, keep your eyes to the skies.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.